Perhaps the greatest luxury in a home is not more space, more marble, or a grander address. It is having something worth looking at every time you turn toward a window. A beautiful view can quietly change the entire character of a room, making an ordinary morning feel softer and a familiar evening feel more restorative. When architecture is designed around gardens, trees, filtered sunlight, and open sky, the outside world stops feeling separate from daily life. Nature becomes part of the interior without ever needing to enter the room.
Before we delve into our exploration, allow us to extend a warm welcome back to Amica Studio. For those joining us for the first time, we invite you to subscribe for more captivating insights into home and interior design inspiration.
When every window frames nature, luxury homes with peaceful gardens and warm interiors. Imagine waking to leaves moving gently beyond the bedroom glass, having breakfast while sunlight travels slowly across warm timber floors, or spending a quiet afternoon reading beside a window that frames layers of greenery instead of another wall. Shadows grow longer, garden colors deepen, and eventually, warm interior lights begin glowing against the darker landscape outside. These are not dramatic moments, yet they are often the moments that make a home feel deeply comforting. If you enjoy homes that feel as good as they look, consider subscribing to Amica Studio. There are many more inspiring spaces waiting for us to explore together. One, an arrival that begins in the garden. Before the front door ever comes into view, the mood has already been established. Instead of exposing the entire house at once, a garden path might curve gently between ornamental grasses, low shrubs, mature trees, and walls softened by climbing greenery. Natural stone underfoot introduces texture without demanding attention, while glimpses of warm interior light appear through carefully positioned windows. Imagine returning home after a long afternoon and hearing little more than footsteps on stone and leaves shifting above you. The architecture may be substantial, yet the experience feels remarkably calm. A memorable entrance does not need to announce the house. Sometimes it simply teaches you how to slow down before stepping inside. This quieter approach also reveals a useful idea for homes of almost any size. Allow landscaping to become part of the arrival rather than something added around the building afterward. A small tree near an entrance, a narrow planting bed beside a walkway, or even one carefully framed patch of greenery can soften hard architectural lines. Windows close to the entry can offer controlled glimpses into warm rooms without sacrificing privacy, making the facade feel inhabited rather than formal. As evening arrives, gentle lighting beneath foliage and along the pathway can guide you home without turning the garden into a brightly lit stage. Two, windows that turn daylight into decoration. Step inside, and the first thing you notice may not be the furniture at all. A wide window beside the sofa frames the branches of a tree. Another captures a strip of garden, and taller glazing allows the sky itself to become part of the room. Morning light arrives softly, changing the color of wood and stone as it moves. By afternoon, shadows from nearby leaves begin dancing across the floor. Imagine sitting with coffee while rain traces quiet lines down the glass, or reading on a Sunday morning with nothing beyond the page except greenery. The most captivating rooms are often the ones that allow nature to do some of the decorating. Yet larger windows alone are not the answer. A thoughtful home treats every important opening almost like a photograph, aligning windows with trees, garden walls, water, or small planted corners, instead of accidental views of fences and neighboring structures. Even a modest window can feel extraordinary when it focuses attention on one carefully placed plant. Sheer curtains soften intense daylight without completely separating the interior from outside, while deeper roof overhangs can keep glass comfortable during warmer afternoons. This balance creates rooms that remain bright without feeling exposed. And nowhere does this relationship between view, light, and daily life become more meaningful than in the spaces where families naturally gather. Three, everyday gatherings with the garden beside you. Some of the loveliest moments in a home happen while nobody is thinking about architecture. Children drift between the family room and the terrace while dinner slowly comes together. Here, these ordinary routines unfold beside generous windows and doors that keep the garden constantly present. A dining table positioned near greenery can make breakfast feel brighter and evening meals feel more relaxed, while sliding glass panels allow conversations to move naturally between indoors and out. When nature sits quietly beside everyday routines, home begins to feel less like a container for life and more like part of the life itself. Warm materials make that connection feel even more natural. Timber cabinetry can echo the trees outside, while stone counters and textured surfaces bring a grounded character to kitchens that might otherwise feel overly polished. Instead of opening every wall completely, these homes often create selective connections. One broad doorway toward a terrace, a kitchen window overlooking herbs, or a breakfast corner facing a small courtyard. That approach can work beautifully in smaller homes too. Positioning dining areas near existing windows, keeping tall furniture away from important views, or adding plants just beyond the glass can strengthen the sense of openness without changing the building itself. From these social spaces, the atmosphere gradually becomes quieter as we move toward the rooms designed for privacy and rest. 4. Private rooms shaped by quiet views. The pace changes here. Bedrooms do not need the widest panoramas in the house. Sometimes a single intimate view is more comforting. A window beside the bed might reveal the canopy of a tree rather than the entire garden, while a small reading corner captures morning light without exposing the room to the rest of the property. Imagine waking before everyone else, curtains moving slightly in the breeze, and watching the first sunlight touch leaves outside. In a bathroom, greenery beyond frosted or screened glass can make a simple routine feel almost retreat-like. Rest begins when a room gives your attention somewhere gentle to land. Privacy, however, is what allows those views to truly feel relaxing. Layered planting can screen bedroom windows more gracefully than high walls alone, while courtyards, slatted panels, and carefully angled glazing protect intimate spaces without shutting them away from daylight. Inside, comfort comes from restraint. Soft textiles, warm bedside lamps, natural wood, and enough empty space for the room to breathe. A chair beside a window can become more valuable than another decorative object because it creates a place for reading, thinking, or simply watching the weather change. These details remind us that private rooms should restore rather than impress. And beyond them lies the feature that gives the entire home its emotional center, the garden itself. Five, the garden becomes the heart of the home. This is where architecture stops being the main character. The garden takes over. Rather than existing only at the edge of the property, greenery seems to slip between rooms, appear beside windows, fill courtyards, and wrap terraces with layers of foliage. A tree may be positioned precisely where several rooms can enjoy it. Water may reflect moving branches and changing sky. A sheltered sitting area creates a place for slow mornings, while another corner catches the warmth of late afternoon. Imagine dinner outside as the air begins to cool, or standing beneath a covered terrace, listening to rain fall into the planting nearby. A garden becomes truly luxurious when you do not need a special occasion to enjoy it. The strongest gardens are rarely the ones filled with the greatest number of features. They succeed through layers. Taller trees for shade, medium planting for softness and privacy, and lower greenery that keeps views open from inside. Paths encourage movement, while small pauses, a bench, a chair beneath a tree, a simple water element give the landscape purpose. Even a narrow backyard can borrow this principle by dividing the view into foreground, middle ground, and background instead of placing everything along the fence. When windows look toward these layered scenes, outdoor space begins to feel deeper and more immersive. As daylight fades, however, another character emerges, because the materials and lighting inside start shaping how the garden is experienced after sunset. Six, warm materials after the sun goes down. There is a moment near sunset when the house seems to reverse itself. During the day, you stand inside and look toward nature. At night, warm rooms begin glowing through the glass while the garden becomes mysterious beyond them. This transition is especially powerful when interiors rely on materials that respond beautifully to softer light: timber, limestone, woven fabrics, matte plaster, textured rugs, and furniture with tactile finishes rather than excessive shine. Lamps placed lower in the room create intimate pools of light, while concealed illumination can reveal ceilings or textured walls without becoming visually harsh. A warm home is not created by adding more things. It is created by choosing what deserves to be felt. Craftsmanship becomes easier to appreciate in this quieter atmosphere. The grain of a wooden table, the uneven surface of natural stone, or the gentle texture of linen offer something that perfectly smooth materials cannot the feeling of human touch. This is also why warmer interiors benefit from varied lighting rather than one strong ceiling source. Table lamps beside sofas, pendants above dining areas, soft illumination near shelves, and subtle outdoor lights can create layers that make evenings feel calmer. Homeowners can achieve much of this gradually, simply by replacing overly bright bulbs and adding smaller light sources at different heights. And once the house settles into this evening rhythm, its deepest luxury becomes clear. Not what it owns, but how comfortably life unfolds within it. Seven, a home designed around how life feels. Eventually, the architecture fades into the background, which may be the greatest compliment a home can receive. You stop noticing the window dimensions and simply notice the tree outside. You stop thinking about the floor material and remember children sitting there after coming in from the garden. Breakfast becomes associated with morning light. A particular chair becomes the place where someone always reads. The terrace becomes where conversations somehow last longer after dinner. These are not dramatic architectural moments, yet they are the ones that slowly turn a building into somewhere deeply personal. The real measure of a home is not how impressive it feels on the first day, but how comforting it becomes after 1,000 ordinary ones. That idea offers perhaps the most practical lesson of all. Design around routines before designing around appearances. Notice where morning light arrives, where family members naturally gather, which window has the quietest outlook, and which corner could become more useful with a chair or small table. Preserve views instead of covering them with unnecessary furniture. Give gardens something meaningful to connect to inside. Choose materials that become richer with touch and time. None of these decisions requires a spectacular property. They simply require attention to how life actually happens. Because when architecture supports those rhythms gently, luxury stops being something reserved for exceptional moments and starts appearing quietly in ordinary days. Conclusion. When every window frames nature, the garden is no longer something you visit after stepping outside. It becomes a constant companion to daily life, appearing beside breakfast, beyond the sofa, behind a favorite reading chair, and through softly glowing rooms at the end of the day. These homes remind us that luxury does not always come from scale or extravagance. Sometimes it comes from knowing exactly where to place a window, allowing a tree to become part of the view, choosing materials that bring warmth rather than formality, and creating outdoor spaces that people actually want to use. The most meaningful interiors feel connected to something beyond themselves: fresh air, changing weather, growing plants, sunlight, family routines, and the comfort of returning to familiar spaces each evening.